Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's about the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. Today I am here with Joe Crandall of Greencastle Consulting. He is would you classify as retired military or
No, former
former
Navy
Navy
SEAL.
SEAL? I
Yeah, I didn't
never
retire.
quite get
Yeah,
when you get the retired insignia when you don't. Like,
right.
isn't that like when you're in it for like 55 years and you can barely walk kind of thing?
Yeah, it feels like 55 years, but normally people retire after 20
Oh,
or
20 or
more
more
years.
years.
You can't. Yeah, and so most people do their initial stint of maybe 6 to 8 years and get out, and then if they were a SEAL or a Green Beret, it's considered to be former Navy SEAL or former Green Beret versus an X, which means there's something
You
bad
can't.
happened where you
Yeah,
got kicked
yeah.
out.
Okay. Well, anyhow, thank you for your service. We're all very great.
No
We're all
worries.
very
Thank you.
grateful. And so you went to the Naval Academy. You're not just one of those guys who came in after 9/11 and signed up and did it, which is nothing wrong against that. But you actually went
Yeah.
in saying, "I'm going to be in the military."
Yeah, I joined the military my junior year of high school actually,
Wow.
and I didn't. I knew I didn't want to go to college, and at least right away. And I knew that if I stuck around a small town in Incline Village, Nevada, that I would still be pumping gas
Uh,
there and not owning the gas station. So I joined the Navy. It took me all essentially all the way across the country from Nevada to Orlando,
that's cool.
Florida, and yeah, and from there just did. A little bit of enlisted life for a while and figured I wanted to continue the Navy stuff, but I really didn't enjoy the enlisted life so much. So I wanted to become an
Mhm.
officer. And I applied to the Naval Academy initially and got
Aw,
denied. And but they sent me a letter saying you were accepted to the prep school, and nobody knew what the prep school was at the time.
love it.
And I said, "Oh, I don't want this. I want the Naval Academy. I don't want the prep school." And an officer that I didn't know walked up to me and goes, "Petty Officer Crandall, go to the prep school." And I was like, "All right, I'll go." And so I went, and one of the best years of my military career. It's like a redshirt year for the Naval Academy. You have football players, you have geeks, and then you have a bunch of enlisted people, and you mix it all up. And for about a year, you're doing essentially high school, junior college kind of level work. So
Oh,
you're
so it's like
prepared for the
it's like
Naval Academy.
feeder. It's like a feeder thing in. 'Cause a lot of these
Yeah,
big state
yeah.
schools, I went to University of Delaware, anyone in state that wasn't quite ready for Delaware would go
Mhm.
to the local satellite places before coming to main campus.
Yeah,
Well, that's
exactly.
clever. I honestly, I don't know if anyone still knows that they have a feeder school.
Yeah, well, and but the other thing a lot of people don't know is that the Naval Academy takes about 120 people a year from the
Oh,
enlisted
wow.
ranks to the
That's
Naval
good.
Academy, and they never fill all those billets. And so
Really?
I always tell people if you really want to go to the Naval Academy, there's another route. You don't have to get a senator or a congressman's approval, and but that takes a lot of faith in yourself to make it through
Well,
that
I
route.
guess I
Otherwise,
guess it
you're
kinda makes sense because you have to prove it to yourself, prove it to everyone that you can do the
Yeah.
military, and then you can be rewarded with going to the Naval Academy that way. Oh, so that's how you get in the Naval
Yep.
Academy. You can only get into the Naval Academy with a letter of recommendation from a senator?
Yeah, usually it's when you're coming right out of high school. You have to have a senator or a congressman write a letter of recommendation. You still have to go through all
Yeah.
the approvals and admission process, but that's the quickest
Wow,
way.
is it the same thing with West Point?
Yeah, West Point Air Force Academy.
Wow.
I even believe Coast Guard Academy is the same thing.
Wow. I guess that's how you make sure that
Yeah,
everyone's serious about applying.
yeah. Well, and it's highly
Yeah,
competitive
they're
too.
great
I mean,
schools.
there was no way I was going to the Naval Academy out of high school, so it was another it was another good
Well, that's
path for
good.
me
So
to
then you
take.
left, and then you did some stuff in the military. Did you go right into SEALs then, or did you,
Yeah, yeah. So I right after graduation from the Naval Academy, I went directly out to Coronado, started SEAL
which
training
is no
for about
cakewalk.
6 months. You look
You
back.
look
Anytime you
back,
look
it's
back
like
on something, you only remember the good
yeah.
things. But yeah, it was a kick in the balls for sure. And so, but yeah, I did that, and then went to SEAL Team 5 for about 7 years, and actually was deployed when 9/11 happened. So talking about the difference in joining before 9/11 and
You
after
saw both,
9/11,
yeah.
yeah, and people join for obviously different
Yeah.
reasons. I joined to get out of a small town, and after 9/11, most people were joining for
Yeah,
patriotic
and
reasons.
you mean you're not saying you weren't a patriot, you were just like, I'm right
Right.
here, but let me just
Yeah.
continue along." So then you
Yep.
left the military after, what, 8 years you said?
Yeah, I did. I was one of the main reasons I got out was I was a platoon commander of Charlie Platoon, and we were overseas, and I got diagnosed with colon cancer,
Ooh,
and so my operational career was over, and had a few decisions to make, and I figured it would be better off to be behind a desk making more money than I would in the military. So I got out and started my civilian career after
and
that.
you're healthy now and all that?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was
Maybe the military gumption helps you get through it because colon cancer is not that's not a cakewalk either.
Yeah, it wasn't, and I was 30 years old, so I was really young to get
Yeah.
it, and in the best shape of my life as a Navy SEAL, and so a lot of things people were just scratching their heads on why it happened, and no genetic markers,
Well, you're lucky.
no family history, no nothing, so it's just a
Fluke,
fluke.
and you're lucky, you're kicking, and you're doing good. So then you left, and then what'd you get? Did you go right into entrepreneurship at that point, or did you corporate America?
I started a sales career with Pfizer
Oh,
for a
everyone
little
ever seems like
while,
everyone does
and
Pfizer or
then
Merck. Everyone seems to be in those 2 or Johnson& and Johnson.
yeah, exactly. But they do. Pfizer does a great job training people for sales and relationship management, and the job itself wasn't very rewarding. Um, very much a glorified UPS driver, in delivering drugs to doctors. Great relationships, and I loved my time there. But it had run
Yeah,
its
it's a
course,
stepping stone.
and I needed something more. Yeah, and so then I started helping a small startup sell software to
Ooh,
hospitals that turned the TV into a two-way communication device, and then a couple other sales jobs, and then finally I learned about Greencastle Consulting in one of my sales jobs, and I learned that they were 100% veteran owned and operated. They were in the right around the corner from
well,
my
that's
house,
convenient.
and they were doing big projects, and I was like, I got to know these guys, and so that prompted me to go interview with them, and then eventually I got hired with them, and that was in 2012. And then from there, that's when I kind of got the bug of, all right, I can do this. This is a company that I could be a part of long term and help run. And then in 2019, I purchased the company from the retiring partner,
Wow.
and so I've been running it
There you
since.
go. So and kind of keep the trend going of it being veteran owned and all that. So when you say
Yep.
management
Yeah.
consulting, I mean, the word consulting is one of those words that when I meet people at networking events and
It gets thrown around a lot.
they just left a job and they're looking for a new job. I said, "You're a consultant." Like, because anyone can be
Yeah.
a consultant. You're consulting on
Right.
something. And so what does
Right.
Greencastle do exactly?
So our primary thing is implementation consulting. We do strategy execution. So think of some of the big guys would come in and work with these companies and say, "Hey, here's your 5-year strategy. Here's the programs you need to initiate in order to compete in the market space." And then what normally happens is those programs get sent down from the C-suite down to the
Mhm.
VPs and the directors, and here, go do this. And they are not well equipped necessarily to do a whole, let's say, software implementation or a wholesale swap out of a program, and they call us to help execute on their behalf.
Oh, okay. So
So we
you actually literally implement their. strategies, which is
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And yeah, we have three areas that we focus in on: project management, change management, and process
Oh, that's
improvement.
very
So
much needed.
anything that falls into those things, we're able to execute pretty
Yeah, and you
flawlessly on.
guys are growing. I see you guys are constantly hiring, and then
Yeah. Yeah. We're up to 67 people, I think.
wow.
So
And are
yeah,
most of
when
the
I
people work
purchased
for
the
you?
company, we were at
Most of the
25.
people work for you veterans, or is it a mix?
100%. No, they're
Oh,
all veterans.
wow.
So every consultant, our office manager, our marketing
Yeah,
person, our sales guy,
that's
everybody.
fantastic. Yeah, because there's something
Yeah.
about a vet, and I've learned this because I was working with, Zero Eyes and all that. There's just something
Yeah.
about vets that civilians don't have, and they can be completely
Right.
qualified, awesome, really go-getters and all that, but there's something about even if you didn't get deployed to a war zone, but you went through boot camp alone, you survived
Yeah.
boot camp, and in your case, you survived
Right.
boot camp plus SEAL training, you can probably manage a lot more than the average human being.
Yeah, and we see it all the time on projects that we're managing. Sometimes we'll pick up a project that was underperforming under another management consulting firm, and they had 20, 30 people on it, and we pick it up and we have nine
Wow.
or 10, and we're doing just so much higher level work.
You
And
also have the
so
processes that
that's,
have been beaten into you,
yeah,
like you do X, Y, and
yeah,
Z. Because in the
yep.
military, you don't do the process right, you're dead.
Right, and that's what we that's a lot of what happens in the military is you have mission first attitude. The mission
Yeah.
matters, and if you run into a roadblock, you just don't go, okay, roadblock, all right. You have to figure out a way around it, under it, through it, whatever. And same thing with project
Mhm.
management. Anytime you run into a roadblock, you have a couple of different options. You could say, okay, 45-day delay because we hit this roadblock, or you could figure out why is it a 45-day delay? What do we have to do? What do we have to
Mhm.
change in order to get around
Yeah.
this? And that's where we excel at is we just don't take the status quo as
You
the
don't
answer.
take no
We
for an
try to
answer.
figure out we try to get to the end of the mission as effectively as possible
That's
for our clients.
fantastic. Alright, so Joe, since you've
Yeah,
done everything from, like, soup to nuts, literally, pretty much here, what I always ask the people who are on the show, what is the scariest thing? Because I mean, you went from, like, being in the corporate world, being a green castle, being a partner, and now owning the thing, which is now you're an
yeah.
entrepreneur, like, this is your baby. What is the scariest thing day to day being like the head honcho, the entrepreneur there?
That's a great question because we're for me, I'm in uncharted territory. I've never run a company of 67 people, more than $12 million in revenue, any of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that. And I think the biggest thing is making sure the team is taken
Mhm,
care of, not just from that they have a project or that they're gainfully employed, but do we have the right benefits? And do we always worrying about whether the team is getting exactly what they need? And it that is where I spend a lot of my time is making sure that we have the right culture, that people are doing the right
mhm,
jobs. We have a high accountability amongst all of our team. We say everybody has to play by adult rules and do those things. And when everybody is following the rules and following our behaviors and following that adult rule kind of underpinning attitude, we don't have any problems. Everything is running
that's
smooth.
awesome.
Everything does well. But keeping the train on the tracks is I'm one day I wouldn't be surprised if the whole thing came falling apart because of one thing, but it hopefully it doesn't. But that's what scares me is just making sure everybody
Mhm.
has what they need to do their
Well,
job
so then on the
effectively.
flip side, what's the best thing about being the head entrepreneur? Like, what I mean, I know there's always some negatives, but also the positives.
Yeah, yeah. The best thing is seeing the success of, again, the people in their projects. I love seeing. We have a system set up that for pay and benefits that if they earn a certification or if they do a certain amount of time on a project or if they do an internal project for us, they get more pay and more recognition. And I love to see people progressing along in that program because I think it's a huge waste of time if somebody joins a company and when they depart, they haven't changed their skill set at all. I
Mhm.
think that's a huge waste of an opportunity. And so, my goal is when somebody joins Greencastle, they earn their project management certification, their change management certification, and all these other things that help them become more marketable anywhere else, but also more marketable for Greencastle, so I can get them more challenging jobs and opportunities with our clients, and they can professionally grow their career through small little
Oh, that's
challenges.
awesome. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Hey there, it's Jason Falls. If your company or maybe one of your clients sells to marketers, you look for advertising channels that guarantee business marketers are paying attention, right? Let me introduce you to the Marketing Podcast Network. You're listening to it right now. It's a network of podcasts all about marketing. So 100% of MPN's audience are marketers. Reach them by advertising on the Marketing Podcast Network. Learn more and find our media kit at marketingpodcasts.net.
What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
So most people would probably assume a physical thing.
Exactly. I'm always thinking like headphones or something like that. No one has ever
And I'm not.
answered that. Everyone's gone deep on it. So no
Okay.
pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good question. I think for me, the thing that I always try to carry with me is knowing that I could stand up in front of the company and say something, but if I turn around and do something that's counterintuitive to that, they're going to notice that more. So if I say, "Oh, everybody has to take the trash out," and then I walk by trash and I don't do it, it's saying, "Well, do as I say, not as I do." And I think leading by example is one of the most powerful things that any leader can take with them anywhere they go. And so to me, that's probably the most impactful as well. Is if I say professional certifications or a professional growth mindset's important, but I'm not doing that myself, they see it and they'll realize it's empty words if I'm not actually showing them that in my own way that I'm following through with what I told them to do as well. So one of the biggest things along leading by example is when I was going through SEAL training, I was what was called the class leader, not because I was the best, but because I was the officer they selected to put in charge of this group. And I would always be essentially caught by the instructor staff sweeping or picking stuff up. And they're like, officers don't do that kind of work. And I would always respond, well, if I'm going to ask my team to do it, I got to be willing to do it
Love it.
myself. And so built into you from the very beginning.
What did they
What's
say
that?
to that?
Usually go get wet and sandy and do some push-ups. Yeah.
But hey, stick to your guns, no pun intended, and
Right.
you lead by example. I love that. So Joe, where can people find you and connect with you online?
Yeah, so I only have one social media account, and that's LinkedIn. And so it's really easy. Just look up Joe Crandall and Greencastle, and I'll be right there. And Greencastle itself has Facebook, LinkedIn. We have Instagram and a couple other things. So that's the easiest way. You can always go to our website too, which is greencastleconsulting.com. All my contact information's there, as well as an opportunity to schedule time with me if you wanted to sit and chit
Very
chat.
cool. Well, Joe, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate this. Awesome story. You've done a lot. You only have one
It's
life.
probably because I have no direction. I just go wherever.
You only have one life, so you might as well live it to the fullest. You know what I mean? Joe.
Exactly. It's very short time on this planet. All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
Seth.
Joe. That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Matt Bailey hosts a fantastic podcast called The Endless Coffee Cup. Matt, tell these fine folks what they'll get when they listen.
At Endless Coffee Cup, we go beyond the headlines with a regular discussion of marketing news, media, and culture about our complex digital lifestyle. Of course, with my emphasis on education, I have great guests from all over the world that share their stories, giving listeners unique insights into their experiences and expertise.
Sounds super useful. Where can people subscribe?
They can go to my website at sitelogic.com or find the show at marketingpodcast.net. Or hey, we're everywhere, wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard him. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.